So let's talk about Talladega. The race was really long at over 4 hours. It had 13 cautions, 11 were for incidents, either wrecks or debris. This race set a track record for number of cautions. There were 58 lead changes. This race also went into triple overtime, but the real story here was the controversy around the finish and NBC's handling of the coverage of the race. First, NBC decided to switch the race from NBC to NBC Sports Network at 6 p.m. so they could air the local news. The networks have been pushing NASCAR for these later start times, and then they just go and move the race from network TV to cable, not allowing some people to watch the finish. If Fox and NBC want these later start times, then they need to be doing a better job keeping the race on the original network so everyone can see it. Now to the controversy. To be clear, I don't currently have a favorite driver or anything. I watch NASCAR because I love racing, so I'm not biased towards any one driver. So now, Matt DiBenedetto finished second behind Denny Hamlin, or did he? NASCAR determined he forced William Byron below the double yellow line. This relegated him to last car on the lead lap, 21st. I agree with NASCAR's decision here. DiBenedetto did appear to force William Byron below the double yellow line, and so that's subject to a penalty. Now, Chase Elliott was penalized for going below the double yellow line and gaining a position on Chris Buescher. Chase Elliott was relegated to last car on the lead lap. NASCAR Senior Vice President of Competition, Scott Miller, said in reference to all the calls on the double yellow line that they were, quote, clear-cut. He then specifically on Chase Elliott said, quote, he obviously just pulled down and passed underneath the yellow line, end quote. Now, this is the part where I'm probably going to get a little fired up, because an hour after giving the penalty, NASCAR then reversed their decision that was apparently clear-cut and said he was forced and penalized Chris Buescher for forcing him, moving Buescher then to last car on the lead lap, 22nd. How can you publicly state that it's a clear violation of the rule after reviewing it and then reverse it and say, nah, it's not? This is not a split-second decision like you see in most sports. This was already reviewed, and they said it was clear, and now it's not? How does that work? In my eyes, when I watch it, Buescher comes down as Chase is on his bumper, but Buescher has the lane. There's not enough room to fit a car above the double yellow line, and then Chase pulled down to pass and just went with the run he had. I don't particularly care how they rule this because I think it's a close call, but don't make the call and say it's clear-cut and obvious, and then just do a complete 180 and reverse it. Like, did it just magically become not so clear? This is stupid and confusing. I guess Rick Hendrick complained enough or something. I don't know. Okay, now to Denny Hamlin. He was racing behind Buescher in 3 and 4, and Buescher was not quite on the bottom, and Hamlin had a run. Just as Buescher was moving down, and Hamlin pulled left and went below the double yellow line. Not just below the double yellow line, but got all 4 tires below the line and proceeded to pass 2 cars, then continue on the apron onto the start of the front stretch below the line before he decided he should probably rejoin the track, well after he had the opportunity to do so. He then continued on to win. NASCAR decided not to penalize him because he was apparently avoiding a wreck that didn't actually happen. The rule was told to drivers in every driver's meeting at Daytona and Talladega, but here's the thing. The rule is written as, if in NASCAR's judgment you go below the double yellow line and improve your position, you will be black flagged. If in NASCAR's judgment you force another car below the double yellow line in an effort to stop him or her from passing you, you may be black flagged. So by the way the rules is written, it is a black flag to go below the double yellow line and advance your position in every situation. There is no subsection to the rule that says it's okay if you're forced or avoiding a wreck, whether it actually happens or not. Steve O'Donnell had a conversation with Dale Jr. back in 2018 on Twitter over this rule. Jr. was making the argument that it shouldn't be a penalty if forced below the line, and O'Donnell disagreed and said the rule was pretty clear. The only judgment is if you give the position back immediately. So again, going to my point that it's a penalty to advance your position below the line even if forced. So by that logic, Chase Elliott should be penalized because he advanced his position below the line and didn't give it back. And then Chris Buescher then can be subjected to a penalty if in NASCAR judgment he forced Elliott. Now Hamlin Hamlin's situation is not as clear. Some people will say he was forced, but by the same logic as with Elliott, that's a penalty. But NASCAR claims he was avoiding a wreck that never actually happened. Since when has NASCAR ever called it this way? It was a penalty when Carl Edwards avoided a wreck at Daytona when cars checked up right in front of him trying to get to pit road. It was a penalty when Regan Smith moved down to avoid putting Tony Stewart in the grandstand at Talladega. It was a penalty when Denny Hamlin, of all people, went below the line at Daytona in 2011 to avoid wrecking Ryan Newman. NASCAR has enforced this rule to a point where it was clear: wreck someone or get penalized. And so now, after enforcing the rule where it didn't matter if you were avoiding a wreck, now NASCAR again wants to do a 180 and change direction and say it's cool, he's avoiding a wreck. NASCAR is putting drivers in a box, but the boundaries of that box keep changing each race because the only thing NASCAR can be consistent at is being inconsistent. Pretty much every racing series in the world has track limits, and that includes NASCAR. But these other series have pretty much figured it out for the most part. If you leave the track, you get a penalty. But NASCAR has had the same rule now for 20 years, and they still can't figure it out. All I'm asking for is some consistency. Drivers don't know the rule properly, the media don't know the rule properly, and the fans don't know the rule properly because the enforcement is constantly changing. Hamlin advanced his position not once, but twice, well below the line, and made no effort to rejoin the track or give the position back. NASCAR has a history of showing it doesn't care if you are trying to avoid a wreck, so that argument shouldn't matter. I think Hamlin should have been penalized. Denny Hamlin cut off reporters when they tried to ask him about the rule after the race, just saying it's a non-story. So let me know down in the comments what you thought about the Talladega race and all the controversy around it. Should Denny Hamlin have been penalized? Should Chase Elliott have been penalized? Should anyone else have been penalized or not penalized? Should NASCAR just get rid of the yellow line rule altogether? Let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm working hard to update the Real Winner Challenge. I'm hoping to get caught up this week. Once I get caught up, I would like to start adding commentary to them now that I have a microphone to do so. I had many issues with getting behind. I got a new computer, then my wheel broke, and I had to get a new one. Shout out to Dell for never sending me my pedals or wheel rim I ordered from them. Good job, guys. And then I had a ton of issues with recording Heat 5. I have a bunch of videos already recorded that I just need to edit. I would also like to start a Heat 5 career mode with commentary. Thanks for watching, and until next time, so long, everybody.